What is up, everybody? Matt Moda here to give you some WNBA bangers for tomorrow's WNBA betting slate. So I'm recording this early on Wednesday, June 12th for tomorrow's WNBA games, Thursday, June 13th. This is my first WNBA video of the year. I have been giving out picks on my Dub Club, and I've been posting them to Twitter as well. It has admittedly been a hit or miss WNBA season. I think I'm basically breaking even on the year, up like 0.06 units. I did get both of my plays to cash yesterday, which was nice. But really, the entire season, like I said, it's been pretty hit or miss. But I did dive into the betting slate for tomorrow, and specifically into the Dream versus Fever game, Fever Dream. That's kind of confusing and funny to say. So I got two plays for that game specifically. So if you're new to my channel, I will be posting more WNBA videos as the NBA season comes to an end, and as the MLB season has been pretty rough. So if you're interested in that, definitely make sure to click that subscribe button. And then for this specific video, if you could comment, I would appreciate that. But we can get right into these plays. So again, this is going to be for the Dream versus Fever game, and I'm just taking the under. I'm taking under 162.5. I was able to get this at -110 odds at FanDuel. Now I get taking an under in a game that involves the Fever is pretty scary, but it is the way to go in this one. So I've just been looking at a couple websites and stuff. I have the projected point total for this game to be at 158, right? Just based on the sources and stats and stuff that I look at. So we are right off the bat getting about a 4-point discount from the total if those projections come true. And if you just want to line shop this play, and this is as of the time of this recording, obviously by the time you watch the video, odds might be different, but when I clicked record on this video, FanDuel offered this over-under at 162.5 at -110 odds. Every other book priced this at 161.5, including sharp sportsbooks that accept more action, so have sharper lines. So it is a pretty good play from a line shopping perspective as well. The hope here is that this total does end closer to 161, 160, and we get some positive CLV here. But again, to start getting on the play here, I get it. Taking an under in a Fever game is very, very scary. They have the worst defense in the WNBA. They allow the most points in the WNBA as well. And when I say worst defense, they have the worst defensive net rating, I should say, in the WNBA. They allow the most points in the WNBA as well, as I mentioned, at 89.8 points per game, which is terrible. One thing that I do want to mention is they have had a pretty brutal schedule to start the year. I mean, they've played 13 games. The Dream have only played 10 games. 3 of the 13 games have been against the Liberty. The Liberty have the best offense in the WNBA. They averaged 99 points in those 3 games against the Fever. The Fever allowed over 100 points to the Storm, who play at the fastest pace in the WNBA. The Fever played the Aces, who have a really good offense. So this is all just to say that they've had a really tough schedule. So yeah, I'm not going to say their defense is good. Their defense is definitely not bad, but I do think that their defense looks worse because the schedule has just done them no favors. We have seen them play against teams that have below average offenses, and their defense has been a little bit more respectable, right? They've played the LA Sparks twice. The Sparks have the 4th worst offense in the WNBA, according to net rating. They gave up an average of 80.5 points per game, 9 points below their average. They allowed 73 in one game and 88 in another. So the 88 obviously isn't great, but 73 is. They played one game against the Sky, who have the 5th worst offense in the WNBA. They only allowed 70 points in that game. They played a game against the Mystics and gave up 83 points, which admittedly that part's not great, but that still is 6 points below their average. So again, this is all to say, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Fever defense is good. They are absolutely not good, but I don't think that they are as bad as they've looked through 13 games in the WNBA. And the big reason why I like this under, I don't think that the Dream are the type of team that it's going to be able to score a lot of points against the Fever as well. The Dream have the 2nd worst offense in the WNBA, according to net rating. They average 75.8 points per game, which is also the 2nd worst. And then from there, the Dream, 2nd worst effective field goal percentage in the WNBA. They don't shoot that great. They also play at the 3rd slowest pace as well, which just limits scoring. And then on the other side of the ball, the Dream have a pretty solid defense, and they specifically have a solid defense guarding the shots that the Fever like to take, right? The Dream offense is trash. Their defense is solid. They're not among the best. They're not the Connecticut Sun, but they're definitely not as bad as the Fever either. 5th in defensive net rating, 5th in opponent effective field goal percentage. They really guard above the break three-pointers well, which is what the Fever and specifically Caitlin Clark love to do. So it's not going to make an official play. I do think that this is a good under spot for Caitlin Clark as well. I just don't see this being a game where a bunch of points are scored. And I think because of the fact that it's a game involving the Fever, you are able to get a pretty good price taking an under. So I think there's real value in it. And that's what's going to go ahead and be my first play for this game. Next up, I do have one WNBA player prop as well. And as I mentioned, the player props in the WNBA have not nearly been as good as the NBA. I mean, NBA was absolutely phenomenal. There are limited advanced stats in the WNBA. I admittedly don't follow it as closely, so I just haven't had as much success with player props. So that's all to say, I'm putting 1 unit on the over, or the under. I'm putting 1 unit on the under. Let me be clear, 1 unit on the under, and then I'm putting a half unit on this player prop, which is an over, which is why I fumbled over my words. But I'm putting a half unit on this player prop, and I'm taking Kelsey Mitchell over 1.5 made 3-pointers. This is offered at -135 odds at Bet365. I know it's a little bit counterintuitive and a little bit anti-correlation, but I am, in fact, taking an over 3-point prop for a game in which I'm taking an under. Granted, 2 3-pointers equals 6 points. I'm taking under 162.5. I'm not taking Kelsey Mitchell to blow up from 3-point range. I'm just taking her to make 2 3-pointers. And I actually do like the price at -135. I know that in a vacuum, -135 sounds pretty gross, but you compare that to FanDuel, that prices this at -174. And the -135 looks a little bit better. And I think this is just a really, really good fade of recent results and a decent matchup against the Dream as well. Now, to stick with the fade of recent results, Kelsey Mitchell has made 2 or more 3-pointers in 8 of 13 games this season, but she missed it last game. She missed it against the Connecticut Sun. She only shot 1 of 4 from deep in that game. Well, the Connecticut Sun have the best defense in the entire WNBA. Their defense is phenomenal. And part of that good defense is they guard the 3-point line very well as well. The Sun allow the second lowest 3-point percentage allowed in the WNBA. They allow the second fewest 3-point attempts as well. They just do a really good job guarding the 3-point line. And heading into that game, Kelsey Mitchell had made actually 3 or more 3-pointers in 2 straight games. So right off the bat, you see 3 or more made 3-pointers in 2 straight games. You expect some sort of regression. And the fact that was coupled against a really tough matchup in the Connecticut Sun, you can kind of forgive her for only going 1 of 4 from deep in the last game. And that also means we're able to fade recent results, which is what we'd love to do in the NBA, and get a pretty good price on her to make over 1.5 3-pointers in the next game. Now, one area that I did not mention in my under, where the Dream struggle, they are horrible guarding the corner 3-pointer. They allow the most corner 3-point attempts in the entire WNBA. They've allowed the second most on the right corner. They allowed the most on the left corner. They're terrible at guarding corner 3-pointers. Looking at Kelsey Mitchell, she takes the second most corner 3s on the Fever. But the reason why I like her as opposed to the player that has number 1 is she does average about 5 above the break 3-point attempts as well. Now, as I mentioned, the Dream do a good job guarding above the break 3-pointers. So she averages about a little over 1.5 made from above the break on the season. Maybe she only makes 1 as opposed to her average of a little bit over that. But I do think that she might honestly be able to make 2, if not at least 1 corner 3-pointer because of how the Dream play defense. And that would obviously cash out this bad boy of over 1.5 made 3-pointers. So I'm not going to ladder it up to 3 or do anything like that. I'm just going to take her to make 2. And that rounds out our 2 picks for the WNBA betting slate for tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe again to my YouTube channel. Check out the Dub Club if you're interested in getting on my plays sent to you for $5 a month. Appreciate everybody for watching. Also, give me a like and comment. But again, I appreciate everybody for watching and have a good one.